Welcome to the Smart Influencer podcast. If you're tired of chasing algorithms, second guessing your strategy, or feeling like you're doing all the things without seeing the growth you want, you're in the right place.
We're your hosts. I'm Christina,
And I'm Corinne.
and we're bloggers, business owners, systems nerds, and founders of the Smart Influencer. Between the two of us, we've built multiple six-figure brands, launched digital products, hosted live events, and coached creators who are ready to level up.
Each week, we break down what's actually working in today's creator economy, from monetization and list growth to systems, automation, and building a business that doesn't own you. Because this isn't about hustling harder.
It's about building smarter. Let's get into it.
Today we are chatting with Abriana Sanford from Sorted and Styled, and we are talking about our favorite subject, creating systems. So she is going to be speaking specifically about creating systems that scale. Based on what she did building her business. So welcome to the show, Abriana. Why don't you start off by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thank you so much for having me on. So yes, Abriana Sanford. I am the founder and the lead organizer for Sorted and Style based in Atlanta. Professionally, we have only been in business for just a little under a year. I think we officially launched the business in September of 2025, but that's not to say that we haven't been organizing and putting systems into people's homes for years and years. Just finally decided to make a go of it full time. So super excited to be on. We love organizing. I do have a small team that will assist here and there, but we organize tons of spaces from garages to pantries, kitchens, like commercial spaces as well. So you name it. If there's a space in your home that needs a little bit of help, we're definitely the people for that. So.
That is
I love that.
Yeah.
So I recently self-diagnosed. I'll be clear about that. As a self-diagnosis with ADHD, but I keep getting all these people in my reels that are talking about, some of the ways you know you're ADHD, which is how I self-diagnosed. And a lot of it is the piling. I'm a big piler. So I am always enamored by people that have good organizational systems and can stick to them because that's my organizational system. I make piles. Like I can tell you what piles things are up, but it's a visual clutter thing. So I definitely probably should just have someone on staff that's a professional organizer. But I love, my best friend is a professional organizer. I love the way your minds think and the way they automatically start to declutter. So I want to dive in right away because you're doing a lot of stuff and you're like, I feel like a big part of that, and tell me if I'm wrong, about organizing and staying organized is coming up with the systems and that are easy to maintain, right? Like they're just kind of natural. So can we start there and just talk about how you identify that or how someone starts to figure that out for themselves?
Yeah, so I will say this, if it makes you feel better, there's hope. I have ADHD and so does my daughter. And so for us, I know, right? So for us, I can say for her, but for me specifically, I think it adds to that overwhelming feeling of being overstimulated when my environment is not orderly. And so I think that is kind of what's naturally pushed me into making sure that I do maintain even my home in a very organized fashion. But to your point, yes, I think that a lot of people have really good intention when it comes to being organized and what that looks like. And what I found being in people's homes, day to day, whether that be during, large moments like having new babies or, just being in the midst of after school rush and things like that, is that folks are constantly resetting. I think like reset Sundays have become a really popular thing online and on social media. And it really comes down to patterns, like patterns of how people are living their lives. So if you're not putting in a system that is, let's say, not Pinterest perfect,
Right.
but actually functions with the way that you live, then you're constantly going to find yourself resetting and you're going to say, this isn't working and continue to feel overwhelmed. So I think that the big part of maintaining structure is making sure that you're being honest with yourself about how you're living your life.
Yeah, I found that with myself especially. Like it's the being honest part. I feel like I'm always saying, "Oh, I found a new system to try out." And when they fail, I'm noticing it's because I'm trying to force myself into somebody else's
Mhm.
system and it doesn't always work. But when I take a step back and I try to make it my own, it's much more successful.
Yeah, of course. That so anytime that I speak to a client on the phone about what their organizational goals are, the first part of it is really them telling me a little bit about themselves. Like, tell me what your life looks like, who lives in your home, what's the biggest pain point for you, and that just really lets me know, like, okay, you have small kids, or you have, and so maybe that's it. You're spending a lot of time, with littles, or maybe you have older children and you feel like you're constantly on the go, and so you're not at home being able to manage those systems. Or maybe you're an empty nester now and you're like, oh, I have all of this free time and all of these things. Maybe it's time for me to kind of go through and declutter some of that. So um, getting to know my clients really helps me determine what their need is, so I can and try to help put in a system that will stick for them.
Right. So one of the things that was in your notes when you like had written like what you talk about and kind of what your system is that really spoke to me because I feel like everywhere where I've actually implemented this, it's been life changing. It's like not only that ideal self, but planning for your worst days, not the best days,
Mm.
because all of the systems that I have fun making are made for the best days. Like, oh yes, when I have like nothing else going on and like no one's like vomiting on me and the dogs, behaving. Like when all of that's going on, my system looks great and it runs great. But that is like 1% of my life at turn. Like I feel like that is like 1% of my days are the perfect day. Everything else is Christine and I talk about this all the time. Like what fires do we have to put out
Yeah.
today? So when I started, and we talked a long time, like Christina and I did like triage, right? Like we talked about every time we'd get overwhelmed, we'd triage. So you just get rid of all the tasks that aren't absolutely essential. And it was a long time coming before I realized that was the model I had to build on, right?
Mhm.
Like I needed to work on just what like that triage compartment was. And then the other things are the nice to haves that you throw in when you get the extra bandwidth. It's opposed to creating the system around ideal circumstances and everything falling through the floor when things aren't going right. So I know that was one of the things you talked about. I've done a poor job of explaining it, so I'm going to hand it back to you so you can pretty that all up and make it make sense.
No, no, no. You were right on target. So I think that that is also another reason that folks struggle is they're like, okay, like I can do this. I can manage, let's say their mudroom. I can manage this mudroom. I'm going to have all these individual hooks for the kids, and they're going to come in and they're going to put their things away, and it's going to stay perfect, and everyone's going to know where all of the things are. And that's great in theory, right? But then you start really looking at the mudroom and you're like, okay, well, are the kids actually putting their shoes away? Like, are they just kicking them off in front of the bins that you labeled with their names on them so now you're feeling overwhelmed because they're not putting the things away? Or have you come to realize that maybe having that mudroom open, and so you're seeing all of their backpacks and their coats and things hanging, maybe you realize that doesn't work for you. Maybe you realize you need closed storage and you want to be able to kind of close that away so that you're not seeing that in your space. Or maybe vice versa, if you have it closed, you realize, oh, I'm just going to shove things in there, and then now everything's disorganized again. Maybe you need that open storage. So I always tell my clients, on your worst day, like, what is your busiest? You get to the end of the day, what does that look like for you? And I plan around that. So if you're like, I'm out of the house, I leave for work at this time and I don't get back until this time, and then I have 20 minutes before I have to take a kid and rush out to a sport, and then by the time I get home I have to make dinner and all of these things, my first thought is, let me make something for you that is quick and easy and like grab and go. Like, you need grab and go. And so again, I think that it really comes down to making sure that you're being productive. Productivity is the hack. And making sure that your system is put in place so that everyone in your home can be productive, not just you, not just you. I know that my kids and my husband would probably tell you, she's always telling us to put things away or do this or do that. Everyone in your household, for the most part, unless you have tiny, tiny little ones, is capable, and they should also be helping in the productivity and maintenance of the home and the systems as well.
Yeah. So if we're working though alone, right? Because in business, many of us, as bloggers and influencers, we're working alone. So we don't have to rely on our family kind of cluttering things up. It's
Right.
our own selves that get in the way, or is like sometimes it's my multiple personalities that come out and get in the way. Multiple
That was
moods.
just me, Christina.
No, no, I got them too. I got them too. So I think that because I fall into this trap a lot too. Like I build it, it's great for the first 2 days, and then I just fall off the track. So what I've tried, I'll tell. So we're gonna dig a little deeper here on me. I've tried to like marry up systems, like I love like the para system and things like that with the atomic habits and creating good habits to implement my systems. But there are times when it just falls apart.
You know.
It's just, I circle, and it's usually in times of chaos. Like Corinne and I wrapped up hosting our very first Smart Influencer Summit. And when I came out of that, I feel like my brain was so busy processing all that stuff that I forgot all the systems that I put in place. And when I came back to chaos, like when I started working again on my like businessy stuff.
It's why our other thing beyond systems is automations. Like I
Yeah.
really love a good automation so that I don't have to be thinking about things because that is like to your point, Christina, about atomic habits. I love the habit stacking. Like that works so well for
Yeah.
me in every aspect of my life because there are lots of things I like to do. So I just pair them up with things I hate doing so that the things I hate doing get done. Like I constantly have to trick myself. I think that might be another ADH thing. Like I have to constantly play mental games with myself. So for me, Abriana, and one of the things that you also had written about, like, which to me is, we talk about this a lot, decision fatigue. Where
Yeah.
like I need time that I can like I'm a big fan of the decide once system. Like that's why I like an automation. Decide the perfect flow once and execute that so that I don't have to think about it again. So can you talk a little bit more about that, about all the different ways that someone could do that, like how
Mhm.
you decide once and then implement it, or make the decision once so that you save that time, save
Yeah.
that friction later.
Because in business, I mean, really, that's how our money is our time is money,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I would love to hear this too.
So for me, I think that I'm going to say I made the mistake that I think a lot of people who are starting a business make, right? And so I'm going to give a very specific example. When I first started, anytime you go on the website and you submit an inquiry, it comes to me, and I wanted to take a look at that inquiry and write a personal email to that person to let them know, like, yes, I took the time to read what you wrote and make it personal to what they were looking for. And I came to realize that that was just taking so much time. And I think my fear in that was, well, it's not going to feel personal. People are going to feel like, they're just a number if they get an automatic email of some
Right.
sorts. And I came to realize that that's really just not the case. So I do have a standard email now that I send out, thanking people obviously for inquiring and letting them know what the next steps in our process is. That takes out all of the decision making. I don't have to go in and make any sort of adjustments. It's simple. And so I think that that's the number one thing when it comes to maintaining systems that you have in place when it comes to business or your home, is making it as simple as possible, removing the amount of decisions that you have to make, number one. And then number two, making sure that the systems don't have too many steps. Like once things have too many steps, people are going to fall through the cracks. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to stick with them. So making sure that it's something that's easy to maintain, 1-2 steps if possible. And I think, really just making sure that it's built for real life. And so that means obviously, for me, if I'm getting a ton of inquiries on my website, it was not sustainable for me to send out a personal email to every single person. And that's just real life. Like that is what it looks like, I guess, on the worst day from a business standpoint. That's probably my best day.
Right. It's a great day and it's a hard day. Yeah.
Right, great.
Yeah.
But I realize that it comes down to the sustainability of it all. Making sure that it's as simple as possible is what's going to lead you to success, and making sure that that system stays in place long term.
Well, and one of the things I love about what you just said, like that example, is a lot of times we make assumptions about what our customer or our audience member needs that's not grounded in anything. Like it may or may not be true that they like a personal email really is more meaningful to them, but more likely that's a decision that you made because you just assumed someone would like a personal email, right? Like I don't if that's what you've always been doing, you wouldn't have data to know. So I find myself, Christina always says this, like we got to take ourselves out of it. Like you've got to take yourself out of the equation and stop thinking about what would I want or how would I do it, because we don't have everyone else's perspective. And the number of times that like I catch myself in that loop where I've made something so much more complicated or more elaborate than it needed to be because, and I think, Christina, this is when we talk about imposter syndrome. We're so afraid to launch it because what if someone criticizes this?
Yeah.
But really, it's so much easier to add something, add a little something later
Mhm.
to something that's very simple, like to your point about being staying very simple, than it is to build a very elaborate system and then start to peel stuff back to get to the system you can actually maintain.
Mhm.
I need to
Yeah.
post this on a post-it note somewhere just so I remember.
Just so I remember, right?
Exactly.
I
But
found too that you talked that, that first point of contact with your customers was important to you.
Mhm.
And I think with systems, right, we can, if we can automate something else in our life, it might free up more, or in our business, it might free up
Mhm.
more time to actually put the emphasis where we want it to be. If that was super important to us, like we can prioritize what we want to do by automating, delegating, or templating something else in a system that
right.
removes us from the situation. So I don't feel like
Yeah,
it.
100%, 100%. I mean, I think it just comes down to there's only so many hours in a day,
Yeah.
and how do you want to spend that time, and how is it going to be most productive to your business? If for me, if it felt like sending that personal email, I would continue to do so, but I don't.
Yeah.
I
Right.
came to realize that that might not be it. I came to realize, once a person has determined that they do want to move forward with organizing, that now for me it's having the 10 to 15 minute phone call with them, and
Yeah.
really kind of getting down to what they're needing then. And I was like, if we have a good relationship at that point, and it seems like it's going to be a good dynamic, then I think that sending that personal email wasn't
Right.
necessary.
Yeah.
Well, and I think now with all the tools we have, there are other ways too to deliver some of what they were getting in the personal email without you having to send, like you can systematize it, right? I I've done a lot of things now where they have a welcome video, but depending, or sometimes they'll put you in a quiz first, and depending on how you answer the quiz, you get a different video than, like, say, Christina, if you filled it out, like we know we'd answer things differently.
Right.
So they sat down one day and recorded for maybe, however many videos, right? Like these welcome videos that are short. So it still feels kind of personal to you. They get to see you, they get to, right? Like you make that connection without actually having to record a personal video for them each time. And then, like, if you really want to go nerdy with it, right, like listen to Adam's podcast where he's got a tool that will personalize the video for you. But like, there are tools like, now with AI that you can do that. But there are lots of things you can do with the tools that we have to systematize it and still give it something more than like a canned email response.
Yeah.
So it's a
But I love
fun world we're living in right now.
it is. There's so much coming, I think. But I love one of the things that you said in your pitch to us, and it was productivity isn't about doing more, it's about deciding less.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I feel like that is so very true. I mean, the decision fatigue just kills, like, there
For sure.
were several famous people. I think it was like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Barack Obama, right? They all wear the same thing every day
Mhm.
because they don't, it's one less decision they have to, and I mean, they're making much bigger decisions than I could ever hope to make. But
Mhm.
I mean, still, it just removes that one decision right out of the gate for them. And I
Right.
love that.
Yeah. And so I think that making less decisions aids in the potential to grow your business. And I think of it from this standpoint, and maybe this is just me. So I like to go to Chick-fil-A with my family. One, because I know they offer like 6 things to choose from. And I probably get a handful of the same things every time. But I prefer that over going to like a Cheesecake Factory. There are so many options. I don't want so many options. I just want a handful of really good ones. And I just want to have to make a simple decision. When you give me all of those options to choose from, it's overwhelming, and I just feel like it can be to some too
Yeah.
much. And so from a business standpoint, when you're focusing on simplicity, like when your offerings are simple, or the amount of decisions that you have to make to get to that next step, whether that be a sale, or what have you, I think that is really streamlining with your clients and the systems that you have, and you can rely on those. So once you have something that's sustainable that you can rely on, I think that at that point, that's where you can really focus on the growth from there. right?
Right.
And so I think that as long as you have something in place that's more manageable with less decisions, it frees up some of that time to be like, oh, well, how do I grow the business from here? You know?
Can I just say I'm
100%.
having a huge light bulb moment right now because, I'm thinking about getting stuff done every day with this decision fatigue and productivity and all this stuff, but I have not yet connected the dots to the sales process.
Uh,
And you just did that right here. And it's true. I mean, think about it. I mean, if you're selling like a digital ebook or whatever, if you eliminate that decision fatigue for people, oh my gosh, that
Mhm.
was such a huge moment for me right now. Like, I feel like I need to stop and go take notes and do something. Like, I need to like process all this.
I mean, how many times
Actually,
have you gone shopping, but there's been like too many options, and then you get overwhelmed, and then you don't
Yeah.
buy anything
well, it's
because
funny
you.
because at the summit, we only had, because it was our first year, it was small. So we only had like one set of sessions, right? Like if you came, everybody went to the same sessions. And we were like, don't worry, guys, next year, like, what, now we've got, like, we know what we're doing. We can maybe have two tracks. And the response overwhelmingly was,
Yeah.
don't do that. Like we liked not having to choose. Like we were glad that all our attention was in doing the work in the session. I didn't have to like then expend energy trying to decide which session I wanted to go to or feel like I was missing anything. Like I think everybody feels that in their core.
Yeah.
Like the decision making is just hard. And I think like with anything else, like I'm a runner, so like when I'm running, the more miles I run, the worse my running gets, right? Like that's when my form starts to break down. Like so the fewer decisions you make, I feel like the better those decisions are because you're
Yeah.
not using all your energy on 100 of them. You're using it on, a couple. And then you're just smarter about it. Like you're not all tired and worn out from it. It makes a lot of sense to me, but
Yeah.
no.
Runner also. My best runs are when I have a lot on my mind. It keeps my mind going on the run, and then
Yeah.
I can work through all the decisions I need to make in the however many miles I'm going. So
Yeah. I know. That's when I do my best thinking. Christine, I think yours is the
The
shower. You
shower.
always have your shower ideas.
I
Yeah.
I just got back from a retreat and one of our late night chats was about that. And I was saying how I asked my husband to hang a whiteboard in the shower just because that's where that's where the magic
I
happens. And
gotta get this
I
down.
know I gotta be able to write it down. I'm like, I would love a whiteboard in my shower.
I don't know.
I
I
feel
feel
like
like
you might have that. I feel like they might have something like that.
Right? It
well,
makes
I also
sense.
feel like you could just have Alexa and like send it to a note file or something. You
I
could just
know,
speak
but then
it.
it's weird that I'm talking in the shower to myself about I'd
It
rather
is
do
less weird to you to be writing on a whiteboard in the shower. Who is listening to you in the shower?
Stop making fun of me, Corinne.
I'm sorry. We can go back to making fun of me. There's plenty of ammunition here. But what you're saying about the offers, that was like, so last year was my
Yeah.
big, I know I talk about this all the time, but it was a big move for me to like build my digital products and literally every AI I spoke to, every like article I read was about that, was about instead of like I make a lot of products, it's like,
Mhm.
no, you need to narrow your offers. Like you need to only have one or two, get really good at those, and then you can start to
Yeah.
expand. Like everybody that's actually doing well, and we talk about it too on the podcast. Everybody that comes on and they are crushing like some platform, it's because it's the only platform they do. Like the focus helps.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
it's
when
great
you
tip.
can narrow that down, I think even, we had talked a few weeks ago, or maybe it's longer than that now with Katie Trant about like your marketing, understanding your marketing position and all that stuff. It takes
Mhm.
those decisions out of things because you've finally defined that.
Yeah.
And now you're not trying to figure out how to make all this stuff work together. You have a clear path. And I feel the same way about systems. When you have a strong system in place, you have that clear path. You know what you're going to work on today because you have a system for that. You know what's going to take priority and what's going to bring you ROI because you have a system for that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Abriana. I'm trying to interpret like the things that you were saying, but this is where it's all making sense to me now.
Yeah, no, that's 100% it. Like, and I always think from a business standpoint, why did you start the business? There was something that you felt like there was a need for, right? Whether it be something that's creative or something service based, right? But a lot of people who start businesses have the mindset of, let's use my business for example, I want to help people organize. And
Mhm.
that's great. But there's all of that. administrative back end work that has to be done,
Mhm.
whether it's by you or by an assistant. And then I think that you tend to fall back from why you originally started the business if you don't have the systems in place that allow you
Right.
to continue that creativity, that productivity, um, as being the origins of why you wanted to begin what you wanted to begin
Yeah.
from the beginning. So take some of that admin off, like put that into a system, allow, technology, if you can, afford it to any extent, allow it to do that for you. So
Yeah.
you can again focus on your clients, your product offerings, what you want your business to be about.
And
Right.
I think one of the things that we hear from clients that Corinne and I have worked with too is I don't have time to do
Mhm.
that. And my response is always time spent planning and organizing is never wasted time, right? Like, and I like to, my motto for myself, and I'm trying to teach this to my son now with his business, is to plan for the business you want, not the
Mhm.
business you have right now. So, he has a small lawn care business and he might only have like a handful of clients right now, but I have him building systems so that when he has a few hundred clients,
Mhm.
it can scale with him and the work is already done, right? The hard part is done and he can just focus on scaling that business and not all the minutia going on behind the scenes.
Right.
That can be applied everywhere. I mean,
Mhm.
even so minimal to, let's say when I started, I built my own website at the time. That took hours, hours, hours. But now, you can go on and automate and look at a calendar and say, yep, this is the service I want. And here's the form. And it gets emailed to me and all of those things. Whereas, I mean, before, all of that had to be done manually. You know how
Yeah.
much time that would have taken over time to do that manually? And so think about that in every facet of the business, whether it be your invoicing system. Like I specifically chose my invoicing system because I can do it from my phone. If I need to send an invoice from my phone, I can do that. If and it has like all my services are like automated in there with the descriptions. And so I have to, go in and make very minimal updates. I update the pricing and I, put client information in, and that takes time, away from some of that back end work to where I can again focus on growing the business and
Yeah.
making sure that my offerings are up to par.
Well,
Because
and that's the step I think is a really important. I've never done it. Like I resist this, but I don't resist the advice. Like I just don't like the action, but the time audit. Because I think if you audit your time and you know that you spend an hour a day on drafting emails, whatever it is, like the different tasks, once you see that, like, oh, this project takes me 20 cumulative hours every week. Like it is super easy to spend 4 hours building the system that will automate that. Like it is much easier to give up that 4 hours when you know you'll get 20 hours, but you kind of need to do that time audit to see that math.
Mhm.
yeah.
I don't like auditing my time because I mostly because it yells at me, right? Like, I don't want to know that I spent 6 hours doing something that should have taken me an hour. But I think it's a helpful tool. I still think it is if someone's willing to do it.
Well, it's kind of like keeping a food log, right? Like a food journal of what you're eating. If you're can't figure out where to make the cut,
Yeah.
you need to know what you're doing. So it only makes or a budget even, if you need
Right.
you need to figure out your money. It's like keeping a budget
Right.
and
The numbers
tracking.
are hard to look at, but if you look
Right.
at them, you will find a lot of information in
Oh,
there.
that, two $7 coffees a day. Yeah, they do make a big difference. And yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, systems really are. I mean, I, I think they go hand in hand with organization. Honestly, like organization saves time, systems save time.
Yeah.
If you are not organized, how much time are you spending looking for your car keys? How much time are you spending looking for X, Y, and Z because there was not a home for it and you didn't put it in its home? How much time are you saving once you've actually said, okay, I'm going to get a system for this
Yeah.
so that each thing isn't manual? They go hand in hand. You can't convince me
That's how
otherwise.
we ended up on Airtable because with both of us at the same moment in like our existence, we're like, I am tired of searching through my emails, searching through Google Drive, searching through Asana because I used that for a hot minute, and you're like to find all the things that I need to complete this task. Like, where the heck is my EIN? Right? Like the one random time you put it. So like that was how we both bonded actually was
Right.
we found Airtable and we're like, oh, we can put everything for our business in this one place. the problem, actually, you'll be very helpful for this because the problem I found with that, like I love a good organization structure. My problem with organization in all areas of my life, home, personal, business, everywhere, is the maintaining of the organization. Like it's that system piece. So I feel like this is the piece that you've got, right? Like making that frictionless, reduce, like somehow pairing that up. What are the tricks for, for doing that so that when, for example, Christina and I are planning the summit and I take a note, I remember to go link that note in our Airtable so that we can find it later.
Yeah.
Like, what are the, how do you make yourself follow the steps? Because that's the system part of it. We've got the organization part. How do you tie it to the system?
So for me, the system part is really finding like one area or one method that works best for you. So for my daughter, right? Hers is notes in her phone. If she puts a note in her phone and it has like the little widget that pops up on her phone as the reminder to the things that are in her notes, she'll be like, oh yeah. And she'll remember to go back and do that thing. So for her, it's as simple as if I put it in my notes, when it pops into my mind at some point, it's going to remind me and I'll go back and complete it. Again, that's simple for, a 12-year-old. But, for adults, it could be any number of things. It could be like maybe you have something written down in your home for you. Now, I'll say the whiteboard in the shower. That makes it a little difficult because then you have to go to that place when you have that thought, and you have to remember to write it down and not get sidetracked between point A and point B.
That's the
But
tricky
all
part.
that being said, you do have to find a way that works for you. I always say your phone because people usually have it on their person. It's quick to open up. So whether you have it's putting something in your calendars that sync with a family calendar, whether it's putting something in your notes, whether you have a specific app that is tasked for organization, things of that nature. There are a ton of different options for that. But I think that having something where you can quickly access to put, thoughts, let me do this, let me do that, so that it, number one, holds you accountable for it. But number two, that can be used as your system to
Yeah.
maintain some of the organization for larger systems that you want in your home or your life.
Yeah. I found too, because this has been something I've been struggling with, is the whole note-taking system for myself because I have post-it notes all over. I have random note cards. I have random scraps of paper. I have notes in my phone. I have notes in a notebook. Like they're everywhere. Um, but what I found that I started doing was actually building in time to process all of that into my schedule. So it's on my to-do list every day to it's the last thing I do at the end of the day is process what I did for the day and just sort it out, put what needs to go on the calendar, on the to-do list, etc. But then I also put time in my calendar each week at the end of the week to go through and clean that all up. And I found that that kind of helps me because it's there in my face telling me this is what you have to do.
I do that, except for I do it first thing in the morning. So I
Mm,
do the same thing. So I sit down with my coffee before anyone has woken up and they're needing me to do something for them. And I go through and I prioritize my day. And I say, okay, these are the things that I need to do or that I would like to
mhm.
do today. And I put them in the notes and I put them, I usually have them as a today task. Now, I do have to give myself grace, and I think people should give themselves grace because you can go into the day with good intentions and say, these are all the things I'm going to try to get done today. And truthfully, if you have 5 things on your list and you get 3 out of the 5, you're still at the majority. So occasionally that will happen to me. Let's say I start today with 5 things on my to-do list and I get to the end of the day and there's still 2 that are left. I'm going to say, okay, well, those were the lowest priority. I took care of the 3 highest priority, and then I just adjust them to the following day. And then they are the top priority for the following day. And I continue that way. It works for me. It doesn't, might not work for everybody, but
But I
it's an
think
option.
that that's the magic there is actually setting aside the time to do that. It's when we think that we can just do it in the midst of everything else that things start to fall apart and crumble.
Yeah.
Just actually taking that time, whether it's early in the morning, it's the last thing you do, whatever it is that you have that time kind of blocked out or, something, whether it's your to-do list yelling at you that you need to get this done.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
for me, that truly does help.
Corinne, I think you like it. I think the ADHD in me, when I get to like mark that bubble as complete, it's like, ooh, dopamine. Yes.
So I've automated that. So I have a morning brief sent to me now that tells me based on the goals that it makes me update that too. Like I have AI yelling at me constantly throughout the day, throughout the week. So I have to keep that file updated, and then it in the automation, it emails me every morning and it says based on your calendar and based on what's happening, these are the things you have to work on today. Like, and it's just not negotiable. And then I get to go check it out. I do. I like the checking off and I'm
Yeah.
using Google Tasks for that. So I just have to figure out like so Google Calendar, like that is my thing. If I put it on the calendar, for the most part, it gets done. And if it goes on my Google Tasks, then the AI makes me do it, right? Essentially. It's the little things. Like I got to come up with the stuff in the moment. So like the example I gave about like we'll be working in a Google Doc. I don't always remember to create that in the right Google Drive. Like I've created in my personal drive, but it needed to be in our partner drive. Then I got to move it there, which is actually more of a pain in the neck than you think that it should be. And then I got to link that somewhere. It's those steps that like I don't know, the fun twin in me that just wants to do the fun stuff, like that's tedious work she doesn't like to do, and I don't have a mechanism that prompts me to do it right then. So that's the little piece I've got to figure out. It's the same piece that is looking at the mail pile over in the corner of my desk because I love the thought of the one touch rule. I've told people to do the one touch rule. But for some reason, one of the twins in here, one of my split personalities, does not like the finality of like either filing it or throwing it away in the moment. Like we need a couple extra minutes to think about it. Like, oh, maybe I do want to take that credit card offer a month from now. So that's the piece I need to fix. Like I can't calendar it, I can't Google Task it.
But you can
It's
have a parking lot, right? This is so I've worked a lot with my AI tools to help me with this, and you can have a parking lot for those kinds of things where you're not ready to deal with it just yet. This is me with my open tabs, right? You always laugh at me for having 82 open tabs in each of the three Chrome windows I have open.
only because it stresses me out. Like it's like that to me is kind of like the piles that I'm
Yeah,
ignoring on the side.
I have
Yeah.
digital piles.
Yeah.
But those are the things I need to think about. I'm not ready to make the decision and shut it down right now, but I need to come up with a plate. Like I need to figure out what I want to do with that. And sometimes that just takes a little extra percolating in my
Yeah.
brain to figure that out. So what I've learned is it's okay to have like that parking lot space where you put stuff. You just have to set aside time to clean out that parking lot, or it just becomes like a repository for
Hmm.
nonsense.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
good. I
it
can
builds
do
on
that
the
in Google Tasks. Yeah.
it just builds on the decision fatigue. At the time that you weren't sure with the mail that you wanted to take that credit card offer, you might have just been out of decisions for the day. You might have been at your limit for decisions for the day. So yes, putting it in a parking lot and saying, "Hey, let me pick that up tomorrow when I have more capacity to make decisions." That's
Mhm.
okay.
Right.
You just have to commit to making sure that you're going to actually go back and do that so that,
That's the
yeah.
piece. I think I need to schedule it on the calendar, like have a block of time that's my go through the mail pile. And then
Yeah.
anything, like at that point, I have to make the decision, like actually force myself to do it. That
Hmm.
could work for me. So thank you for my therapy and personal therapy session. Hopefully this is helpful to you listeners.
Give yourself grace. Making decisions is, I'm telling you, especially for, depending on where people are in their life, if they, have a business and have kids and have all of the things that they're trying to manage. I'm telling you, I get to the end of the day and people are like, what's for dinner? I was like, I don't care what it is as long as I don't have to decide. I just someone else decide.
I'll tell you the
Oh my
best thing I
God.
did for myself was I went on strike after the holidays because that was killing me. The whole what's for dinner nonsense was killing me. Like I just felt so like just buried in it that I told my family like I'm on strike for the next 2 weeks. I'm not making a decision about it. I'm not grocery shopping for the dinner. I'm not planning the dinner. I'm not thinking about the dinner. I'm not cooking the dinner. I'm not cleaning up the dinner. I'm not putting the dishes away from the dinner. I'm not doing any of it. If you guys want to eat, figure it out. I just
That is a
needed to.
much healthier and much more adult method than what is happening currently in our house, where I've got the most passive aggressive war going on with my partner because I was tired of deciding dinner. But I didn't just say that. I'm just not making the decision. So I have had crackers and cheese for the last 3 nights.
Girl dinner. You just had girl dinner.
Yeah, toast is my favorite dinner. I love when I can have toast for dinner.
I mean, truthfully, I feel like I was in that place too. Again, it comes down to capacity, and I
Yeah.
think people really have to be okay with understanding that sometimes your capacity isn't the same on every day and every season of life, and that's okay. You can make adjustments to make it work for you. So like I was at a peak point in life where you're right, I didn't want to make any more decisions and I didn't want to grocery shop. So at that point, that was our HelloFresh. That was like all I got to do is go in and like decide, a week in advance, like what I think everyone's going to want to eat. It gets dropped off and someone else cooks it. Great. Now I'm in the season where I'm like, okay, I think I have a little more capacity to decide on dinners, but I'm only deciding them once. So when I make my grocery list on Sundays, I make a list of what we're going to eat every single day. I put it in the family calendar so that the kids don't ask, what's for dinner? I'm like, I don't know, look at the calendar. It's there for you. Um, and so like it just depends what season that you're in, and making
Yeah.
adjustments to that is okay, whether that's in your business or in your personal life. If something is not working in your business that used to work, that is okay. That is okay to make adjustments. I say that all the time, when I'm talking to people, and specifically sometimes it's about like pricing, right? Like, especially with the economy, let's say like organizing is a luxury service. It's
Right.
not a necessity of life, right? So if at some point, you were getting a lot of business and then all of a sudden you're not getting any business or less business than you would like, it's okay to adjust your pricing a little bit. Like it's okay to make adjustments to hopefully win more business right now when times are low. And so I just like try to extrapolate that across my entire mindset of like, once you've put it on the website or once you've put it on social media or once you've announced it to whomever, you can change it. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Like we're not in the Stone Ages. We're not etching this into stone where it's kind of
Right.
permanent.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
literally a keystroke, the
Yeah.
backspace, and
Yes.
a new number.
Yeah.
Yes. And like admitting that you're needing to change something, like that's not a failure. Like I had to put that in my mind. That doesn't mean that something in my business failed. That just
Right.
means, as with anything else in life, like, there needs to be flexibility,
I
right?
like that framing of it, right? It's
Yeah.
the season. I like that.
Yeah.
So it could have been the exact right decision for that season. And
Mhm.
now this season's yeah, I can see that working because I also love a good set and forget. So a lot of times I'm like, ugh, it feels like a step backwards when you have to redecide and do
Right.
it. But I like that, oh, we've just stepped into a new season. It's a new, I like the framing.
And I think one of the things I just took away from what we were just talking about is a lot of times our personal life and the decisions we're making there are affecting our business life,
Mm,
right? Like if we're overwhelmed by the dinner decision every night, and now we have to sit down and work and make a whole another host of decisions and, figure things out for our business. If our bandwidth is tapped, it's not good for us. So like you might have to apply these strategies in other areas of your life so your business can run smoothly. And I think it was years ago. I was listening to oh, it's skipping my mind now. The Pinch of Yum podcast. Uh Food Blogger Pro,
oh,
the
yes.
Food Blogger Pro podcast. And Bjork had said one of the first business decisions they made with their business was to hire somebody to cut their grass
Mm.
because it freed up the time for them to work on the business. And that makes so much sense. Like sometimes we're so stuck, we can only make business decisions for our business, but that is a personal decision that affects your business.
Right. Yeah, because we've had people on that talked about it before. Like when they started to outsource, what they outsourced was actually the home stuff. Like they
Right.
outsourced house cleaning.
Or
So, or they got a
childcare.
meal service,
Yeah.
which by the way, I'm feeling like we should put that on for next year, the month before and after the summit. Christina just signing up for like HelloFresh or something because both of us have
I
that
think,
this
think we
year.
should
Caveat,
just
it
sign
also
up to eat at
involves a lot of
restaurants.
chopping. It involves a lot of chopping. So you might
It
need to have a designated chopper in your house for the
Yeah.
HelloFresh
and you
meals. But
still got to do the dishes.
I
So
know.
I just vote we eat out.
No,
Mhm.
there's that
I tried
too.
so many meal services. I tried, I think I also tried factory meals, which was great because those you just like they were individual containers.
Right.
And then like, if I was gone or doing whatever with one child for a sport and my husband came home at another time, it wasn't like, sitting on the stove. And so everyone could just heat their meal up as was needed. And it lasted for like a week and until my daughter said that she thought that they weren't the most delicious thing that she'd ever had.
Oh,
But
yeah. Was that Factor? Because I tried Factor
yes,
and I did
yes.
love those as well.
Yes, yes.
My favorite so far has been Hungry Root, but it's not as much chopping as HelloFresh. The problem is, and I keep doing this, I'll go back, like because I'm like, why did I ever stop? This is literally we've been through this cycle 5 times now, where like I'll like wake up one day, I'm like, why did we stop? Because they'll serve me a commercial. I'm like, I love their food. It was healthy, like it was easy to make. They're already in under like 20 minutes. Like it's fantastic. And it's because then 3 months in, I'm like, I feel like we have eaten the same thing literally every week for the last 3 months. Like they don't have the variety in the foods that I want to eat, right? Because I'm trying to stay low carb and I'm trying to be high protein. So they've got lots of meals, but if you're trying to follow a specific diet, you got maybe 7 meals to choose from. So, um, but
But
if you,
they systematize dinner for us, right?
we
Like
did,
when you look
it's,
at it, it's just systematizing
it
that.
is.
I love a good system.
Like
Yeah.
outsourcing, whether it be in your business, right? Like whether it be, so this is like my goal for 2026, and you're gonna chuckle because it's the simplest goal. I just want I just want to hire like an admin that just does like pickups and returns. Like I just don't want to do pickups and returns. That's it. That's all. Like that's all she doesn't have to look at emails or anything. I just want her to return product and pick product up.
That would be glorious. I hate returns. I
Yeah.
hate
Oh,
doing
I am the
returns.
queen of returns.
Yeah.
Ask anybody in
I
my
am
house.
fascinated by that. The people that are good at that, like the number of things that are in my house that I don't need at all just because I never got around to returning it.
It's like that
I
episode
wish
of
I was
King of
exaggerating, but that's true.
King of Queens where all she wore was the designer stuff and she just realized she could wear it and then return it before the period. She had this whole closet system set up with what needed to be returned when to what store. Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff makes because that's a system and that makes my heart happy that I can. I'm like,
It
oh, look at
involves leaving my house, which is my issue with it.
yeah.
Yes.
But I
It's
mean,
time consuming. It's
it
time
is.
consuming. Yeah.
It is. But and you have to figure out too, like you have to build in things that make you happy, I think, in that. Like we can't all just be work all the time because I think that that really leads. Like I went through a really bad period of burnout earlier this year, and I think it was just because I was so focused on all the work components in my life that there really wasn't anything built in for release of that, or things that I enjoyed doing. And it was more like during the winter months for me. So like my hobby that usually clears my mind is a warmer weather hobby, like when the weather is good and it's not snowing. So I didn't have like those kinds of things, but I think making the time in your system to allow your brain to just rest is good too.
Mhm.
So I heard parenting advice a very long time ago that I think actually works really well. It's not parenting advice, it was a parenting theory, but I think it applies in business. And it was that selfish parents actually make some of the best parents, which sounds terrible. But because selfish parents will force their children to do more at an earlier age because they don't want to do it. And so you have very self-sufficient children. We kind of ended up there by proxy because we were a military family, but like it is true. Like my kids were doing stuff at a much younger age than their peers. Because like I remember my child coming home and all through elementary school, we are the only ones that pack our own lunch. I'm like, I feel sad for the rest of society. But anyways, I feel like it works in business. Like if you're a little selfish with your time, you only want to do stuff that's fun, you'll find a way to make the stuff that you don't like go away. Right? Like you'll find a way to systematize it, automate it, or delegate it out, Christina, right? Like because you don't want to do it.
Yep, I'm like that with my Wednesday nights. My Wednesday nights are my time. Like during the warmer months, it's my time and I'm very picky on what I will let encroach on that
Yeah.
on that time because it is truly the only time my brain shuts off. Like
Yeah.
I can't make it shut off any other time. So I need that one night refresh.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think for me, I think so much about business and business success too really is around mindset. And so I had to do a lot of like mindset shifts. Like I'm very type A and I have a hard time allowing others to do things because
Me
I want
too.
it done my way. And so I think I just had to realize like delegating, number one, freed up time for me to do other things, or creating systems freed up time for me to do other things. And it really came down to like a a time to money type of
Right.
balance. So, like for instance, like when I first started the business, and we would organize a garage, and we would install an overhead rack. Can I install one? Sure, yes, I can. But can I just pay someone to do it in an hour? Yes, I can. And I decided that was a better use of my time. And so it's not a failure to me to outsource it to someone else who can do it faster. And then I can utilize my time in other areas while he's throwing something up on the ceiling. I can be decluttering and organizing, spending that one-on-one time with the client.
Yeah.
So it's all about a mindset shift. It's about, shifting your priorities to fit your season, shifting your systems to fit your season, and understanding that every season isn't the same, and that growing your business really does require some of that flexibility.
Yeah.
So,
That was a perfect little soundbite. Like, I feel
Yeah.
that was a great summary of the whole episode.
For sure. So if you had one final piece of advice to leave our listeners with today, what would that be?
I would say to give yourself grace. And at the end of the day, whether it's your home or your business, the goal isn't to do more, it's to actually simplify and create systems that support you in your success.
Oh, I love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Abriana, for joining us today. Before we let you go, though, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you online in case they want to reach out and contact you?
Yes, of course. So you can go to our website, which is www.sortedandstyledatl.com, or you can find us on socials. We are Sorted and Styled ATL on all platforms.
Well, thank you, listeners, for spending time with us today. Make sure you check out Abriana's site and make sure that you leave a rating and review for our show on your favorite podcast player so that we can continue to bring great episodes like this one. If today's episode gave you clarity, direction, or even just one solid aha moment, that's your cue to take action.
Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you found this helpful, please share it with a creator friend who needs to hear it. Smart creators build in communities.
And if you're ready to go deeper, whether that's through our mastermind, live events, or free resources, head to smartinfluencer.com and get on our list.
That's where we share the strategies, tools, and behind-the-scenes insights we don't always talk about on the podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Now go build something smarter.